Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck were once considered one of Hollywood's most admired couples. Their relationship, marriage, and eventual divorce unfolded in the public eye, drawing widespread attention from fans and media alike. When they officially ended their marriage in 2018 after announcing their separation years earlier, many observers were surprised, not necessarily because celebrity marriages ending is unusual, but because the pair had long projected an image of stability, humor, and devotion to family. Since then, public curiosity hasn't faded. If anything, it has evolved. Rather than focusing solely on their romantic relationship, many people have become fascinated by how they navigated life after divorce. The question that often surfaces, sometimes framed dramatically, is whether there was a last text Jennifer Garner sent to Ben Affleck. Was there a final emotional message? A heartfelt goodbye? A cold closing line? Or something revealing about what truly happened behind the scenes? The simple and honest answer is that there is no verified public record of any specific last text between them. More importantly, the idea of a dramatic final message may not reflect the reality of their situation at all. When high-profile couples separate, the public often looks for a defining moment, a symbolic closing chapter that neatly explains everything. In movies and television, relationships often end with a powerful final exchange. One person says something unforgettable. The other responds with a tearful or cutting remark. The curtain falls. It feels complete. Real life, however, rarely works that way, especially when children are involved. Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck share 3 children. That single fact changes the narrative entirely. Divorce does not mean disappearance when a family remains connected through parenting. In their case, separation did not signal the end of communication. It marked a transition from spouses to co-parents. This is where public imagination often clashes with reality. People searching for a last text assume a clean break, as though the relationship ended in one decisive moment. But co-parenting requires ongoing communication, school schedules, extracurricular activities, holidays, medical appointments, milestones, and everyday logistics. When 2 parents remain committed to raising their children together, there is no final message. There are continuous conversations. Over the years, both Garner and Affleck have spoken respectfully about each other in interviews. They have emphasized their shared commitment to their children and the importance of working together. That tone alone suggests that any communication between them would be rooted in practicality and mutual responsibility, rather than dramatic finality. The fascination with the supposed last text says more about public curiosity than about their actual relationship. Celebrity culture often encourages audiences to look for emotional turning points. We want closure. We want symbolic endings. We want something quotable. But the reality of divorce, particularly amicable divorce, is often gradual and nuanced. Relationships evolve rather than abruptly stop. It's also important to recognize that private text messages, especially between co-parents, are personal. Even in high-profile cases, not every detail is meant for public consumption. While celebrities live under intense scrutiny, they are still entitled to private communication, especially when it concerns their children. Rumors have circulated over the years, as they often do with well-known figures. Some stories have painted imaginary scenes of heartfelt farewells. Others have suggested cold, detached exchanges. Yet none of these narratives are backed by confirmed evidence. They tend to emerge from speculation, anonymous sources, or exaggerated headlines designed to capture attention. The truth is likely far less dramatic and far more grounded. After their separation, Garner and Affleck appeared at family events together. They were photographed supporting their children at school activities. They spoke publicly about prioritizing their kids' well-being. Those actions point toward ongoing cooperation, rather than a single emotionally charged goodbye. Another layer to consider is how media framing shapes public perception. Headlines often simplify complex situations. A nuanced co-parenting dynamic doesn't generate as many clicks as a mysterious final message. Stories are sometimes structured to imply hidden drama, even when none exists. In reality, relationships that transition into respectful co-parenting arrangements don't revolve around one final text. They involve consistent communication over years. If anything, the absence of a dramatic last message may reflect maturity and mutual understanding. Public interest in celebrity communication post-divorce also reflects a broader cultural curiosity. People relate to breakups and divorces because they are universal experiences. Seeing how public figures handle them can feel both instructive and reassuring. If 2 highly visible individuals can maintain respect and cooperation after separation, that can be encouraging. At the same time, it's important to draw a boundary between healthy curiosity and intrusive speculation. Text messages are among the most personal forms of communication. Imagining or demanding access to someone's final words in a private exchange crosses into territory that doesn't necessarily serve any constructive purpose. When Jennifer Garner has spoken about her life post-divorce, she has focused on stability, family, and growth. Ben Affleck has also acknowledged the importance of co-parenting and mutual respect. Neither has hinted at a dramatic final exchange that defined their split. Instead, their story seems to reflect a shift. Marriage ended. Partnership as parents continued. If there were a final text that marked the official end of their romantic relationship, it has never been publicly shared or verified. And given their ongoing communication as co-parents, it's unlikely there was a single definitive last message in the way people imagine. Sometimes, relationships fade into a new form rather than ending with a sharp break. In cases involving children, that transformation can be especially gradual. Conversations evolve from emotional discussions about the relationship to logistical discussions about parenting. Over time, communication becomes structured around shared responsibilities rather than shared romance. It's also worth noting that amicable divorces rarely provide the dramatic narrative people expect. When both parties approach separation thoughtfully, with the goal of minimizing harm to their children, the story becomes less sensational and more grounded in real life. The idea of a final text fits neatly into storytelling conventions. It offers closure. It provides a symbolic moment to analyze. But reality is often more complex. The end of a marriage can involve many conversations, reflections, and decisions over time. Reducing that to one text message oversimplifies the process. Moreover, co-parenting relationships often require flexibility. There may have been difficult conversations. There may have been moments of frustration or sadness. Yet none of that necessarily translates into a single defining message that encapsulates everything. Public curiosity about celebrity relationships is unlikely to disappear. People feel invested in stories they've followed for years. But it's helpful to approach such curiosity with perspective. Not every unanswered question has a dramatic answer. In this case, there is no confirmed report of a specific final text from Jennifer Garner to Ben Affleck that ended their relationship in a cinematic way. What we do know is that they have continued to collaborate as parents, appear publicly supportive, and speak respectfully about one another. That ongoing interaction suggests that their communication did not stop and likely never will, as long as they share parenting responsibilities. The narrative of the last text may simply be a product of imagination shaped by how stories are typically told in entertainment media. In reality, relationships often end not with one final line, but with a series of conversations that gradually redefine connection. Ultimately, what stands out most about Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck's post-divorce dynamic is not mystery or drama, but consistency. They have repeatedly emphasized their children's well-being. They have shown up for family moments. They have maintained a level of civility that many observers respect. So while the idea of uncovering a dramatic final message may be intriguing, there's no evidence that such a message exists in the way it's often imagined. And perhaps that's a good thing. Sometimes the absence of a dramatic ending speaks volumes about maturity, responsibility, and the quiet work of co-parenting. Celebrity communication post-divorce often becomes the subject of speculation because people are naturally curious about how relationships evolve under pressure. But not every story contains hidden fireworks. Some simply reflect two people moving forward separately while continuing to collaborate where it matters most. In the end, the question may not be what the last text said if one even exists in a meaningful sense, but how two individuals chose to handle change in a way that prioritized their family. And from what is publicly visible, that ongoing effort seems to define their story far more than any rumored message ever could. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.